We need to have a serious discussion about Travis Scott's devastating concert that led to the death of 8 people, potentially more. Travis literally could have easily stopped the show, but he basically just said in his mind the show must go on, and it did for quite some time. Many people's lives were lost, and this is what he had to say the other day when getting cancelled.
I just want to send out prayers to the ones that was lost last night. We're actually working right now to identify the families so we can help assist them through this tough time. You know, my fans really mean the world to me, and I always just really want to leave them with a positive experience. And anytime I can make out, anything that's going on, I just stop the show and, help them get the help they need, I could just never imagine the severity of the situation. We've been working closely with everyone to just try to get to the bottom of this. The city of Houston, HPD, fire department, everyone to, help us figure this out. So if you have any information, please just contact the local authorities. Everybody continue to just keep your prayers. I mean, I'm honestly just devastated. I could never imagine anything like this just happening. I'm gonna do everything I can to keep you guys updated and just keep you guys informed on what's going on. Love you all.
Kylie Jenner, who is pregnant with her second child and also attended the show, was seen filming the show while all the commotion was taking place. Well, she's getting cancelled too, and she decided to defend Travis on her Instagram story, posting this: "My thoughts and prayers are with all who lost their lives, were injured or affected in any way by yesterday's event, and also for Travis, who I know cares deeply for his fans and the Houston community. I want to make it clear we weren't aware of any fatalities until the news came out after the show, and in no world would have continued filming or performing. I am sending my deepest condolences to all the families during this difficult time, and will be praying for the healing of everyone who has been impacted." Now, it's obvious by the horrific videos of the event that many people suffered and some even died. There was a young lady who attended the event who discussed her horrifying experience and what exactly happened on her Instagram. What she said will shock you, so be warned. Who I am in this story is not important. Rather, it is important the things I have now witnessed. Astro World, Houston, Texas. Travis Scott is the only one performing. I don't know how many people were at the festival, but I do know that every single person was at that stage. My friend and I wanted to be close to the stage, as close as we could possibly get. We were not able to get very close, but we did end up on the side, near the walkway in the middle. Surrounding us were chest-high metal gates, barriers. We stood there for 2 hours, as did every other person. Every gap was filled. Where your feet were placed was where they stayed. Energy rose as the time neared beginning the show. Within the first 30 seconds of the first song, people began to drown in other people. There were so many people, tall men, women and men, where the only thing they could see was the back of the person in front of them. The rush of people became tighter and tighter. Breathing became something only a few were capable of. The rest were crushed or unable to breathe in the thick, hot air. My friend began to gasp for breath as she told me we needed to get out. We tried. There was nowhere to go. The shoving got harder and harder. If someone's arms had been up, it was no longer a possibility to put it down. So people began to choke one another as the mass swayed. It began more and more violent. We began to scream for help. We could see security just a few people over in the walkway in the middle. It got tighter, impossible to breathe as our lungs were compressed between the bodies of those surrounding us. More people began to scream for help. Some began to collapse. The music continued. Hundreds of people ripped their vocal cords apart screaming for help, but we were not heard. There was nowhere to go. My friend was trapped between people on every side of her, and she desperately tried to move towards the rail. It was no use. The screaming intensified as more people realised they could not breathe. We begged security to help us, for the performer to see us and know something was wrong. None of that came. We continued to drown, more and more. One person fell or collapsed. It doesn't matter how it started. Once one fell, a hole opened and the ground. It was like watching a Jenga tower topple. Person after person was sucked down. You could not guess from which direction the shove of hundreds of people would come next. You were at the mercy of the wave. I watched my friend be dragged away from me and lost sight of her. I began to realise in that moment that there is a way to die that not many people know about, being trampled to death. I saw terror in every eye that I met, even the ones that told me to breathe and stay calm. We knew there was a very big chance some of us would not make it out alive. I was pushed away from the rail into the crowd of people, where I could hear from another direction the shrieks of animals. It was happening all around me, these sinkholes of people. I was moved back towards the sinkhole I started at and was pushed to the edge of it. I sunk my feet into the ground, put my arms out and tried to stop anyone from entering the circle, or pushing those already in it. I was shoved further to the ground, my face down at the cold, hard plastic below us, and saw the body of a man, his face below mine. I lost it. There were people below the ones I could see from above. There was a floor of bodies, of men and women, below 2 layers of fallen people above them. I began to shriek. I felt a primal tear rip through me, and I'm not sure anyone understood the magnitude of the situation below. I screamed. There were people on the floor. There were people, unconscious, being trampled by every foot that slammed into the ground as each individual tried to keep themselves upright. I saw his face. I became a shield for him. I think he smiled at me. Then I was shoved to the side. I saw more shoes slammed to the ground, exactly in the spot his body lay, face up. I couldn't help him. I couldn't help any of them. I didn't stop screaming the entire time. No one knew there were people below those that they could see. I almost met the same fate. I was losing balance, and I asked a man to grab me. He pulled me up, and I righted myself for just a fraction of a second before I was sucked back into the crowd. I couldn't take what I saw. I had to get out. I had to get help. I had to do something. Somehow, I went towards the back of the crowd, at a guardrail. A man pulled me over it. There were so many people just standing there, like nothing was happening, like people weren't dead a few feet from them. I saw the cameraman, eyes glued to the stage, elevated on a platform that looked directly into the crowd. I climbed the ladder and pointed to the hole, telling him people were dying. He told me to get off the platform and continued filming. I screamed over and over again. He wouldn't even look in the direction, so I just pushed the camera so it pointed towards where he'd just come from. He became angry. He called someone else up. I told him the same thing. People were dying. We needed to stop the music. We needed help. We needed attention towards the mess, because I thought if only these people were aware, maybe they would do something. The other man grabbed my arm and told me he would push me off the 15-foot platform with no sides if I didn't get down. I told him to help. I told him people were dying. I showed him where. He wouldn't look in the direction either. I was in disbelief. Here were 2 people that could actually do something, had the power to do something, cut the cameras, call them back up, pause something. They did nothing. I looked over at the sinkhole. People were screaming, reaching out their hands towards me, calling for help. I couldn't see the floor. The strangest thing happened in that moment. People began to boo at me. They pointed their fury at me, unleashed a rage. I screamed people were dying over and over. No one would listen. Somehow I ended up on the ladder going back down mindlessly. I should have ripped that camera to shreds. I looked the other guard in the eyes and told him he was the one responsible for countless deaths. He did nothing. I went under the platform, called 911. The only thing they said was they were calling the medical team in. I told the operator over and over we needed to stop the concert because we just needed a pause. We needed light, awareness of the deaths. Nothing. A kid watched me under the platform, watched me break down in tears, explaining how I saw people crushed, stomped on, unconscious. He watched the operator say nothing of use to me. I went out, not sure what to do. Suddenly, 2 men in red medical shirts, looking confused and lost, bumped into me. I explained everything, and they told me they had gone in and saw nothing. 2 girls that were in the pit with me were standing beside me, heard that and helped explain it was there. We led them to it. They climbed the metal gates and went through to the people. Those were the only ones working that were brave that night. I had endless respect for those 2 men. We waited, the 2 girls and I, and watched people being thrown over the railing, people trying to escape the cage we'd been in. So what are your thoughts on the concert now after hearing this woman's experience and seeing all the footage? Do you think Travis is truly apologetic? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.